My name is Tyson, and I'm obsessed with two things: fly fishing and heavy f***ing metal. Today we're asking the question, how can I combine these two completely opposite passions? My answer? The death metal fly rod. Now that the intro's out of the way, let's talk about why I'm making this video. Ever since I was a teen, I've played guitar in various metal and hardcore bands, and I still do to this day. The intro song to this video is one that I wrote with my band, Graveway. My love for the outdoors and fishing started as early as I can remember. I caught panfish and trout on night crawlers and spinners with my grandpa all over Idaho. In my mid-20s, some close friends introduced me to fly fishing, and it was a game changer for me. On top of all of that, I'm a gear nerd. Guitars, amps, pedals, fly fishing reels, rods, and lines. I love nerding out on all of that stuff and modifying it to suit my preferences, making it feel more personal and unique to me. Since I started fly fishing, I've been thinking of a way to combine my passion for heavy music with fly fishing. So I thought, f*** it. I'm going to try and create a death metal themed fly rod. I decided to build the rod myself so I could design it exactly how I wanted while keeping it affordable. This build is directly inspired by the aesthetics of death metal. Some of my favorite bands and inspirations for this project include Obituary, Death, 200 Stab Wounds, Cannibal Corpse, and even Slayer. I envisioned a build that was dark and bloody. This rod was also designed to be my main setup. That means I needed something that could do a little bit of everything. Nymphing, dry flies, and some streamer fishing as well. I'm by no means a professional rod builder. This rod is my first ever build, so I wanted to keep it pretty simple. Here's a rundown of the parts I used and why. For the rod itself, I went with a 9-foot, 6-weight, fast-action carbon blank from Proof Fly Fishing. I chose this blank as I wanted a rod that could do a little bit of everything. Plus, handle some bigger fish here and there, as well as punch casts through the wind on windier days. For the reel, I decided to go with the Taylor Element in black. I added the custom anodization option with a scarlet red splash pattern to simulate a blood splatter effect on the reel. This is what really pulled the look of the build together and is the centerpiece of the rod. The Element is also a very high quality reel that doesn't break the bank, even with custom anodization options when compared to other companies. I went with Rio's Elite Indicator fly line as I've used it before and its colors most closely match what I was looking for. This line is excellent for indicator nymphing, of course, but it also does well for big dry flies like hoppers and light to medium streamers. I just straight up love this line. Perhaps the most unique aspect of the build, I chose the Proof Fly Fishing carbon fiber reverse half-well's grip and matching fighting butt. Not only does carbon fiber look sleek, it's also harder, stronger, and more durable than cork. Most rods that have a fighting butt also have a full well's grip. I'm a finger pointer when it comes to casting, so being able to have a half well's grip and fighting butt on this rod was crucial for me. Everything else on this rod, from the guides, reel seat, and hook holder to the epoxies, threads, and tools used to put this together, came from Proof Fly Fishing. They have pretty affordable rod building kits and everything you need to put together a DIY fly rod. I've linked to everything I used for this build in the description below. This is where shit got real. After putting in all the time and effort to get all the parts I needed, I still needed to build the rod. Luckily, I had my local fly shop, Snake River Fly, to help me. They let me use their space, thread wrapping jig, and knowledge of rod building to help me turn this idea into a tangible object. Huge shout out to Larry, Brandon, and the rest of the crew at Snake River Fly. You guys rule. I started by putting the butt section together, gluing on the fighting butt, reel seat, grip, And finally, the winding check. This was relatively straightforward as I did not need to do any reaming to get a good fit for the grip. Then I moved on to measuring where I would need to put the guides and marking those areas with tape. I used the fly rod guide spacing chart from Mudhole to get the correct guide measurements for the length and the weight of the blank. After marking out where the guides needed to go, I started the wrapping process. This and the epoxying of the wraps were the most tricky and time-consuming aspects of putting this rod together. If you have experience tying flies, this part of the process may feel similar to that in some ways. After getting all of my wraps on and making sure all the guides aligned nicely, it was time to epoxy the wraps. Unlike the wrapping process, I found the gluing of the wraps to be a chore, especially since I did not have a rod turner at the time. I manually turned the rods a quarter turn every 15 minutes for 3 hours after I painted epoxy on the thread wraps so that the epoxy would set evenly. Definitely investing in a rod turner for the next build. After a couple days of work, the rod was finally finished. I had the guys at Snake River Fly spool the line on the reel with black Dacron backing, and with that, I could finally put the whole build together. I honestly couldn't believe how well the death metal fly rod came together. Now it's time to take it to the water and see if all my time and effort paid off. Okay, it's the maiden voyage of the death metal fly rod. I decided to just throw streamers this day, as I kind of wanted to see how it would do there. The goal was to hopefully hook up into some big fish, or really into anything, and see how the rod casted, how it handled the fish, and see if it just would break or not. Please enjoy.
Whoa, that was a complete accident. He came up and grabbed it while I was walking. Okay, first fish on the death metal rod. Decent rainbow. Don't get off. Powerful fish. Okay. Here's our chance. Oh, just gotta get him a little closer. There he is. Yes. Look at that rainbow. First fish on the death metal rod. Let's go.
After landing that first big rainbow, I found this stretch of water where I had a lot of room to make bigger and longer casts. So I tested that and really found the rod to cast quite well. Even with, kind of a more heavy streamer on, I found it to be fun to cast and not hard at all. So after a little bit of stripping, I found some more fish.
Decent cutty. Sick. Look at that gorgeous fish. All right. There's the trout. Nice. There we go. There he is. Wow, nice cutty. Gorgeous cutthroat.
After a day of streamer fishing with the death metal rod, I decided to take it to one of my favorite spots for nymphing. I threw on 2 heavy nymphs under an indicator and started making my casts. It was a pretty windy day at this point and the water was super choppy, but the death metal rod handled it like a champ and got me into my first fish in no time at all. This trout held like a rock in the water. It really tested the strength and the integrity of my 6-weight here, and I thought it was a great just overall test of what this rod could handle. And honestly, this is probably the upper end of what a 6-weight would like to do. When I do net this fish, I didn't really get any landing footage or measurements on it. But if I had to guess, I would say probably right around that 20-inch range, maybe 2 pounds or heavier. So a great test fish for this rod on a windy day.
Wow.
After fishing with the death metal rod for about a month, I can confidently say that I love this setup. It was worth all the time, energy, and learning that I had to put forth in order to create it. I can also confidently say that anyone can do this, and I encourage you all to try and build your very own custom rod. I think the only thing I would change about this build is the guide sizing. I would go a little bit bigger on the guides to help bigger fly lines flow a little better. Not a big deal by any means. Speaking of the next rod build, what theme should I do next? Should I do a themed rod giveaway in the future? What would you build for your own custom rod setup? Let me know in the comments. See you in the next video. Okay, huge shout out to everyone who made it this far in the video. If you liked the video, please subscribe. That helps me out a ton. Another way you can support is by checking out our death metal and fly fishing t-shirt. I know literally nobody asked for this type of thing to exist, but I think it's fucking rad. So here you go. These shirts are super limited in quantity and we'll be giving 5% of all proceeds to Idaho Rivers United, a very cool nonprofit here in Idaho. If you'd like to buy one, go ahead and check out my store, which I have linked in the YouTube description. Thanks again, and as always, leave no trace.